everybody. Yeah. I'm super excited. We're live everywhere on Instagram, Facebook, and on YouTube. And I am super excited today. Today is so many things for me. It being that this was the first time we had the first episode of Life Matters with Anadidiri 4 years ago. And also 5 years ago today, I was called to bar. So today is a very special day for me. I should have so many jingle bells or so many bells going around. But we're excited and we're grateful to God for today. God has been so faithful. To be very sincere with you, God has been so good in every way, in every ramification. I cannot even tell you how grateful I am to God for all He has done. Everything He has done. He has been so good to us. And to be very sincere with you, I don't even have words but to say thank you to God for being good to me and my family and everything He has done. To be very sincere with you, I am super grateful to God for all He has done. If this is your first time joining in, welcome to the show. My name is Anu Adedere, and I am super excited to have you here on the show. I'm speechless today. I think today is one day that I think I was speechless. I am super grateful to God. God has been so good. For those watching us on Instagram, for those watching us on Facebook, so for those on YouTube, please make sure that you share with your what they call it. How do they call it? I don't know how to put it, but today we have our guest, and our guest today was our first guest on the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, drum roll as I welcome Mr. Femi Aguda. Yay! We're excited to have him back. The last time he came, you all wanted him to come back. So we listened carefully and we are excited. And thank you very much, sir, for coming back on the show.
You're welcome.
How's your week been? How have you been since the last time we saw you?
Very busy and I've been good.
That's awesome. So today we'll get right into it. Because we have a whole lot that you have to share with us. And one of the things that I remember that when we were done with the show, you were very passionate about was talking about how people could build their portfolios when it comes to real estate. You were going to touch on building together as a family. You were also going to touch on one other thing we're going to touch on was mentoring and how it has blessed you and the books that you read. So many things we'll be talking about today will not only be about real estate, but also on personal development, on mentorship, on how to be a better man or woman out there, which whoever is listening to us. So for those that are just watching for the first time, Mr. Femi is based in Chicago and he is the CEO of Block 22 Realty. So if you've not seen anything about them, please make sure that you check in the description and click the link so that you can know everything about him. And the last time he came, he gave us a lot of nugget. It was very good. You were even the first guest because you've laid a very good foundation on before you invest in real estate, what to do. I'll be adding you up. I think I'll be adding you up on Instagram. I don't know.
The other phone just went off.
Oh, okay. So no problem. We'll just have our Instagram family watch us as you speak. But one thing that I wanted to say was it was very, very good we had you first on the show because you laid a very, very good foundation for the subsequent guests. The subsequent guests were able to talk to us about so many other things, talking about real estate. And yesterday we talked about common mistakes first-time home buyers make, and it was very good. And like I said, if you want the PowerPoint slides that our guests sent to us, please send me an email at lifematters@anadedere. I think I'll just run that ticker. So send me an email on the email that's going right on the screen so that you can get the slides. To be very sincere, it's very informative. If this is your first time coming to Canada or you're planning to relocate to Canada, this is something that will bless your life. So first off, what does it mean to have a portfolio when it comes to real estate? What does it mean to build a portfolio, like you said, from the last discourse we had? So I'll just put it over to you so that you can put us through all that.
Okay. I want to say thank you again for having me. And having a portfolio, it's basically having uh, two or more properties. Uh, okay, let me say it this way. You can have one property, but once you start having two, three, four, five, six, it becomes a portfolio. By which instead of looking at your real estate investment as one building or two buildings, you look at it as a portfolio. Simply meaning that it becomes like a business. Instead of looking at each one as an individual unit, you look at all of them collectively as a business, such that you know your cash flow, expenses, and all that. Sometimes you might like, oh, this building, you're separating it as an individual. For instance, there are some buildings that may not make so much profit, or maybe not, maybe no profit at all. Or when you look at it as a portfolio, the whole portfolio is profitable. So that's one of the major difference between having just one single building or one single property, and now also having them as a portfolio. You look at it more like a business.
So one thing that our guest last week touched on, and she noted that if you're going to build like businesses around through real estate and let your money work for you, one thing she noted was that it is important for you to separate your personal like house stuff from the business, because a lot of people mix it together. What are the dangers of mixing it together where I'm getting money from my two buildings in Asokoro, or let's say in Dallas, and I'm living in Chicago, and I'm just all the money coming in, I'm just putting the same pool? What are the dangers in doing that?
So the danger is that you don't really know whether you're profitable or you are not. In terms of, and then also I will always advise people to always look at it as a business. And so that means it has to have its own account. You have to have your own account, separate it from yourself, so that you can know how profitable you are. You can know when we are in the red or in the green. And also because, if you start mixing it together, there's a temptation of you always touching the money, because even in real estate, there's some money you put aside for maintenance, for monthly expenses like lawn maintenance. Then also there's some money you put aside, every month for maintenance. But if you mix it with your money, the day you need money, it's easy to, or day you're in the store, you're just swiping and swiping, only for you to realize that your real estate money is gone. And then when you need to fix something, you're running elter skelter trying to look for money to fix maybe a furnace or an AC.
Thank
So
you
for
very much.
accountability, yeah,
Yeah, for accountability. I think that's one very key thing, because a lot of people just mix everything together. And imagine if your tenant has paid you, let's say 1,500 for the month, and another tenant has paid you 1,500, and something happens in the house where you have to go fix something in the house, and you spend all that money, you won't be able to
yeah,
even maintain any house. So like you said, for
yeah.
accountability, and also so that when emergencies come up, each house already has its emergency pool and what is working for them. But
And
for
then also looking at it as a business. You don't want to run it as a personal thing where you can just always put your hands into, because by so doing, even for eventually, if you decide to go to the bank and say, oh, look at these are our accounts. But if you have it in your personal, you can't really say, oh, so they can't separate the business. They'll see you as someone that's not serious.
wow. So you talked about developers, and last week we talked about pre-construction in provinces like Ontario, where
Yeah.
a lot of people buy pre-constructions. Does that also happen in Chicago? And what are the advantages of going into pre-construction in the US?
Yeah, it does happen in Chicago and its suburb. And like I always tell people, new will always be new. so so pre-construction allows you to choose your finishes. It allows you to customize it to your own taste, especially if it's something that you will be living in. So it allows you to choose your tiles, your color scheme, and many of those things like that. So you can also opt for the kind of appliances, because pre-construction also allows you to upgrade. Sometimes the developer or the builder is going to put this in all the buildings is doing. So you can also, hey, I don't want this. Can I add more money? Or I want to put speakers in the walls and all that. So reconstruction allows you to do a whole lot of that.
So for you, would you advise a first time home buyer to go for pre-construction, or would you advise like you said the last time, depending on your budget, depending on your family and so many other things. And in your own story, you shared how you started from the grind, starting with multi-story to living there to selling it. So would you advise that someone goes for pre-construction if I would dictate what exactly I want to put in that house? Or would you advise that if I have the money, do I just go for new outrightly?
So for in this market, I think pre-construction it's on neo is really like the go-to, because in the U.S. market, if you've been following closely, it's crazy right now. So it's a seller's market. So a whole lot, because of the pandemic, a whole lot of people are working from home. If you've been reading the news, a whole lot of people are leaving their jobs and working from home. So that has drive demand for houses, and uh, and the resultant effect is that prices are so high, and also because interest rates are historically low, and because of that, you're literally getting like I would say money for cheap, because if you get a 2.9 or 2.5% APR for your loan, and the inflation rate right now is at 6%, so you're literally getting the money free of charge. So for right now, yes, um, but I always say a first-time home buyer should always, because you don't know exactly what you want. Like I said the last time, you don't know exactly what you want. You think you know, but by the time you move into the first one, living around, you're like, okay, I think I need more space in this area or more space in that area. And then also from experience, most people they usually sell their first home because it's not exactly what they want. So I would always advise, if the market is not like this, the way it is looking right now, then I always advise that you first go for something already constructed. You know, then especially if you're doing investment, you want to hit the ground running. If you buy pre-construction, except there's absolutely uh, margin, and what I mean by margin in sense of like, for example, I did a new construction. I moved in 7 months ago, and right now I already have 150,000 equity on the house, because I foresaw what was happening. So started building during the pandemic, and by the time it was done, just the house next to it is selling close to 200,000 more. So that is because of foresight. So that in that kind of scenario it makes sense. But I think ultimately I would say let the number make sense. Let the number look the numbers. If it makes sense, then jump at it.
Wow, thank you. That was one thing I wanted to touch on, that if you're even going to, whatever real estate you're going to go for, whatever it is that you're going to do, make sure that you have a strategy and a plan. And that's why working with people like you will help, that I don't have to be sitting down cracking my head over it. You would be able to sit down. And that was one thing that was even in the slide that the realtor we spoke to yesterday talked about, that a lot of people feel like they don't need realtors. But the truth is that when you enter into the mess, that's when you remember that you have a realtor's number, you have a lawyer's number, you have your accountant's number. Do your
Yeah.
due diligence. If you're going to build a portfolio in real estate, make sure that you have an investment strategy that you want to do. And because you wouldn't know it, because I'm not in the business of that. If you're talking about, let's say, some tech stuff, or you're talking about some legal stuff, or you're talking about some, let's say, media stuff, yes, I can tell you that if you ask me so many questions, I will be able to answer to the best of my knowledge. But if you ask me real estate, I will literally just tell you, what, I have a friend and brother that can that can help you with that, because that's not my purview, right? So I think it's
Then
important that.
let me have. It's not just every realtor. You have to look for investor-friendly realtor. Like I would say, some people they just work in the bank. They don't own the money in the bank. So, but if we want to work with someone that works in the bank and also owns a bank, that way it can not just give you advice based on the commission is trying to get, but also based on experience. I saw somebody you guys brought, Deborah Holmes. I know she's an um, investor friendly realtor. So I see some of the work she's doing. So that's what I would say, because not all realtors, some are just commission driven, while some like us and Deborah are not just commission driven, but also empire or portfolio building realtors.
Yeah, thank you very much for noting that, because and that was why we did a mixture of the investment, and the person we brought the week before, Deborah Holmes, and even yesterday, he's into property management, condominiums. He's big in first time home buyers, helping you to get the best space for your family. So for those that are just trying to come into the country, or that are in the country and trying to settle in, that's one space that, like you said, there are different people. Just like how you won't go to you won't take your baby to an heart surgeon to deliver your baby, even though the heart surgeon might be able to deliver, you go to your OB, right? So it's important, like
Yep.
you said, to
Yep.
know who
Yep.
fits that portfolio that you're running for, and that's very important. So what are the investment tools you would say that one should look into when starting their portfolio?
Investment tools. It's number one is it's investing in yourself. I think that's the best thing, because a whole lot of people invest their money, but they don't invest time in themselves and also in the business. Because it's real estate and everybody's doing it does not mean you should just jump into it and you're gonna lose your shit. As in, I'm very big on personal development, because um, the level of uh, the level of development that your mind has, the more you can see the numbers and also see the opportunities that like two people can be looking at the same thing. I remember when I was buying a particular property, and I brought my wife. I was like, "Oh, look at this property. It's gonna be like," and she was looking at me like, because it was a dump. It was a dump, but I was like, I was just excited, and then the other person with me too was excited, and then she called me and said like, "What are you saying?" I'm not saying what you're saying, because she was not looking at it from an investment angle, but eventually we did it, and she was like, "Wow, so this is what you guys were saying." I'm like, "Yeah." After we finished, so uh, so um, you need to become that person. You need to become that investor. You need to become, and you need to school in the numbers. Like, numbers don't lie. Like I say, numbers. As in, if there's one major skill of successful people, whether it's in any sphere, it's like always know your numbers. Don't assume. You know, numbers. As in numbers. When people are talking to me, I'm like, okay, what's your number? I'm like, what do you mean? Like your number. Your number. What's your number? Because it helps you to plan. And one other tool, there's this Bigger Pocket. It's a website. It's a community of investors. Bigger Pocket. You can join that. It's a website. They have podcasts where you can always listen to. It does not mean you should invest straight. I believe first invest in knowledge. Know your area. Know your area, and know what's coming in. Is there a new school coming in? Don't go and buy a place where they're about to build a road where it's going to be so noisy. So you need to know your area more than any other person. I believe in local globalization, as in, know your local. A McDonald's, even though they sell hamburger, will not go to Saudi Arabia and go and start hamburger because they don't eat ham. Even though it's McDonald's, they'll probably change to meat because they understand the area. So the same way in real estate, you need to understand the area. What's the school district? What's the numbers? For instance, in US, schools are rated 1 to 10. Why are people moving to this area? Who's coming? Is Amazon coming? Obama Library is about to review. So you need to know your area. You need to and also invest in yourself. Another tool is to probably learn how to save. I don't know if it's a tool or something. You need to learn how to save. Because if you eat all your income, the day of reckoning is going to show up. If your furnace blows up, and also invest in mentorship. There are people that have gone the journey. The Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. So all your dreams, your goals, there's somebody that has gone ahead of you. So learn from them. I had an incident recently. The guy I was trying to advise him, he went on his own, and was supposed to use me as a realtor. He used someone else. So like, I'm to help my friend. He's new. I'm to have money. And so closing day, his friend was in Ghana. His friend was in Ghana. You know, as in, I've never heard this story before. As in, I've never had this kind of experience. Closing the guy was in Ghana. Then the bank, it was kneeling down to the banker to, as in, allow him to close because everything just went south. He had to drive 4 hours away from Chicago to go and close because, as in, it was just so messy. And then he called me like, "Oh, the furnace just blew up." And then I'm like, "Man, this is baptism of fire." So sometimes you just need to go with yeah, he's your friend and everything, but there's no sentiment in business really. As in, go with those that know the flow, so they can tell you what to look for and what to look for basically and what to avoid. So that so it's really not true in that sense, more of skills.
Thank you very much. And that was where I was taking my next question to, because I remember the last time you were here, you talked about books, so many books you had been reading, even from your days in school. But before we even go into that, I wanted you to talk about the importance of diversifying your real estate portfolio, because a lot of people would say, is it wrong for me to say, oh, I just want to invest in buying townhomes and nothing else? Or do I say, oh, I only want to invest in condominiums? So what's the importance in diversification of one's portfolio? And if there is any, why should one diversify their portfolio?
I am one person that does not really believe in diversification as it were. And I'll tell you why. Eventually, you should, but at the beginning point, you should not. Because if started too early, you're going to lose focus. And also the same way, multiple stream of income. And I'm like, if you really sit down and you study those that are highly successful and they are known for one thing, they are not known for 10 things at the beginning. So multiple stream of income, but diversification, if it started early, will lead to loss of focus. As in loss of focus rather. So yeah, for instance, see, even if you see a doctor, there's something called specialists. They specialize. The more specialized you are, the more money you make. If you see the general doctor, he gets the general price. But if you see a specialist, you get the specialist price. And most times, if you look at investors when it comes to property, someone just say, "Oh, I'm in the multifamily space." Someone say, "Hey, I'm in the commercial." Even in the commercial, and the retail, or I just invest in hospital buildings. So you need to like almost narrow down, be an expert of something. Be an expert at. You can't be a master of everything. Trust me, it's too wide. It's too big space, because real estate everything is real estate. The roads are real estate. Do you know that some people they buy car parks? That's real estate. Yeah, that's real estate. They buy car parks. So and they are getting their money. So you need to know where your strength lies in. Some people are just single family homes. They don't want, but someone like us, we don't do single families because, and I will tell you one of the reasons why. If you have 10 homes, if there's 10 roof problem, as in it's 10 homes that have 10 roof problems. But if I have it, then you need multi-building. If the roof has problems, it's one roof, not 10 roof. But it takes another particular level of expertise to deal with that. So, if you play Monopoly, first do 4 single, then change to one green hotel, and then from one green hotel, and keep going that way. But I always believe don't diversify early, or eventually if you decide to diversify in the same industry, maybe like real estate. You can now say, okay, I think I've mastered this single family or multi-unit family segment. I want to go into commercial or mixed use, where the people can live, and also maybe the ground floor is commercial space. So, but don't go into it too early. Specialize, as in the rule of the 10,000 hours. Like if you're doing something, do it for 10,000 hours, and after 10,000 hours you become a master. So And if you're a big reader, and I've studied close to 700 success people, they always say, stay in one industry for 10 years before you diversify.
Thank you very much. I think that's more than enough lesson for whoever wants to start building their portfolio. Um, it's very important that, like he said, I don't even believe in I want to be good at one. I want people to know me for one thing, and that's one thing that I think I had to learn early, even when I started my show. Was it was not just every kind of show where people just come and talk about one thing. I knew that it was gonna. I think someone called my attention to it and said that you have a David Letterman kind of experience where you bring a guest and the person talks about whatever it is that's going on in their life. And that was when it came to my mind that, oh, this is the kind of thing I'm actually doing. I just felt like, let me look for someone that could share their experience. And that was why I think that was why the name Life Matters resonated with me, because it was, I wanted to bring in someone that would just come in and be real with people and tell you how it is without hiding or mincing words. And that's one thing I feel like I'm good at, having conversations with people. I will not go and take people's pictures, or I wouldn't say I'm a great MC. I don't know. I think I'm good with conversations. Don't necessarily mean I'm a great MC. So if I now say, oh, because I'm great with having conversations with people, I want to be an MC and I'm not great at it, I've just shot myself in the leg. So like you said, if you know you're great at something, build on that skill and be the best at that skill. There's nothing wrong in being multi-talented. There's a problem being multi-talented. I can sing, I can edit videos, I can do this, I can do that. Yes. But be great at whatever it is. So if you're multi-talented, yes, it is an amazing opportunity, an amazing gift by God, but make sure that you're maximizing that gift. Just like the parable of the talent. The person he gave 5 multiplied the 5. The person he gave 2 multiplied the 2. The person he gave 1 felt it was not. So the parable of talent is just like what you said. You might be good at just one field and you don't maximize your gift in that one field, and you're looking at someone that is good at 2 types of portfolio, or 5 kind of portfolio. So like you said, go for your one, be the king in that kingdom of out the real estate markets. Let's say you are into condominiums or you're into townhomes or whatever it is that you're great at. So let's talk about
say something. You said something that one of my major secrets in life. I remember when I started, I was looking at everybody else. I'm like, God, I wish I could sing. I wish I could just sing and blow. Because you see, I started seeing a lot of people singing and they were blowing. So I said, God, I wish I could sing and blow. What talent do I even have? And I remember what God told me. God said that the reason why the grass looks greener at the other side is because someone is tending it. So tend your own grass. So I was like, oh, okay. What do I? And I started doing self-examination. So what am I good at? I love reading. Nobody's going to pay me to read. So I started distilling it until I got to business. And even in business, there's so much business you can do. I chose real estate as my vehicle to wealth. So and I stayed with it. Stayed with it. And today, look at you. You're inviting me to speak. And I know many things. I do many, probably do many things. And the problem with a lot of multi-talented people, interestingly, it's the Bible, the one that did not do anything. But in life, it's the 5 that don't do anything. It's the 5. If you look at it in life, not the best singers are not necessarily the ones at the top there. It's just the guys that like, oh, is this, I can only sing, so let me sing and sing well. But this guy that can sing, can do this, I see they suffer analysis paralysis. Do I do this? Do I do this? Do I do this? So they do a little of this, a little of this, a little of this. Meanwhile, guy only knows one. And then it's just, am I not that one? Am I not that one? Am I not that one? For instance, he will tell you, it's only song. As in Davido, with his voice, it's not the best, but it's singing and it's making the wave. And there are people that can sing and act drama and dance, and they're there suffering.
Yeah, thank you for thank you for adding that, and I wanted you to actually touch on something, since you're going to be talking about mentorship and some other things that you're going to touch on. It is you just talked about Davido, and one thing that people really raved about when he had the 250 million saga was people were like, oh my God, he has friends that can do this, he has friends that can help him. when it comes to real estate and building relationships, I was of the opinion when someone had that conversation with me about the video thing. I said, I feel like we're being myopic about how we are seeing it. And it's that these people that are giving back to him is because he gives. I've heard a lot of philanthropy stuff he does, like on a regular, on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, right? And if you see those around him, they're not poor, they're not suffering. I don't think I rarely see anybody that has worked with him before that says they've had an issue. Sorry, just want to make sure. Okay. I don't think I've had anyone that said they had an issue with him or working with him, because they've always said that he would go out of his way to help them. So when it comes to real estate, everybody feels like, oh, it should be a solo journey. It should be like a secret thing where we're just doing everything on our own. But I don't know. Do you think that it's more or less how we build relationships? Do we even need relationships when trying to build our portfolio or invest or whichever one it is?
The kind of culture and the country that we grew up in does not encourage collaboration. We grew up always looking at our back. That person is going to hurt you. That neighbor, don't collect the streets. Maybe, so with that kind of mindset has limited a whole lot of us. It's sowed fear, and but being Christians, the Bible says that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but out of love, power, and of a sound mind. And collaboration is it, as in is it. It's so bad that even husband and wife, this one, don't let her know how much I have. As in, don't lie your salary. Do this, don't do that. As in, but at the end of the day, as in coming to see, as in look at the whole world and everything, the people really making waves are those that are very good in collaboration. And I'm a believer of make your move in silence and let your Lamborghini make the noise, meaning your result. Let your result make the noise. But I've come to realize that if you want to be good, you can go alone. If you want to be great, you need people, you need relationships. So and that's across everybody. Let's look at Davido, for instance. There's a principle in life, and it's found in the book of Genesis 8:22, I believe. It says, as long as the earth remains, seed time and harvest do not cease. Meaning, there's no harvest without seed. There's no harvest without seed. So, Davido, if you've looked at him studying, has been a very big giver, as in giving not just people around him and investing in them. I remember this guy, his father, DM, is Gate Man. The guy is a superstar now, probably has been verified, going all around, and you don't give that kind of, you don't invest. Even in the Bible, David, the Bible says that men that were dejected, rejected, and all men went to him. But after a few verses down the line, they became mighty men. Such that David was like, he didn't ask them. He said, I feel like drinking water from these Philistines. He didn't say, can you guys go and, he just said, I feel like. And they fought, killed to go and bring water. A lot of people want the result, but we don't want, as in, to sow the seed. We don't want to build men or build capacity. So it does not happen that way. You can't, as in, if you've given your time, even the song is his talent. It's giving it to the world. So such that when it calls for, and when it started, it was not for everybody. It was just for his friends. But everybody felt like, man, this guy has given me, I was down, I listened to the song. I used the song to toast this girl. The girl said yes. So many, it's literally, it has added value. And then they were like, oh, for that, let's give him something back. And some wanted to, they tried it, but they failed woefully. So the same, so coming back to real estate, yeah, you can start solo. When I mean solo is relative, because you have to learn from people, maybe books, watch TV, DVD, attend programs like this. But eventually, if you want to be really great, you have to collaborate. You have to have a network, because sometimes what you are praying for might just be in that network that I think that you will go for. I've been in networks where even paid to enter, paid so much to enter, and then by the time someone was like, "Oh, what do this?" So okay, I have this house I'm trying to sell. I'm like, "Oh, really?" My friend has this house, and then by the time you do 4 or 3 deals, you make your money back, and those people be fine for life. So, and when it comes to collaboration, also, we may not one might not be able to one which is 1,000, two which is 10,000. It's not just marriage. It's also business partners and also networks of people. We might not be able to buy one person might not be able to buy 100. In fact, I did a study of who owns all the tall buildings in downtown. I realized that it's not one person, that it's people coming together. So I started telling all the doctors in my church, I'm like, you have money, you have money, you have money. But coming together, you can buy a skyscraper. Like, let's start collaborating. Let's start moving mountains. So that's what I think.
Thank you very much. Like you said, with one person you can move one thing, but with multiple people you'll be able to move mountains. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. So yes, you were going to talk about learning and mentoring. And that's one thing I believe that you've always talked about. In even I saw that recently you were in a like you were in a mentoring class where you were teaching on mentoring also. What's the importance of mentoring? Like we said the last time you were here, it's better to learn from the mistake of others than make those mistakes again.
Yeah.
There's no joy in me failing and now saying, you know what, I'll be happy if I see another person fail. I think that makes you a double failure left to me. So
True.
what's the importance of mentoring when it comes to, and this is not even about real estate, to be very sincere with you. Like I said today, we're going to be talking generally about life. And I want to talk about books that you would recommend, mentoring, and the power of working together as a couple. Because from the story you said the last time, if you've not watched the video, make sure you go watch the video. He talked about how he and his wife collaborated to work together and have what they have. Even when she was sharing her story through the last, I think it was at MB or masters, I think it was one of that. She talked about, she just gave birth, she had so many papers to write, and you would take your son then and you go to a different room and tell her to go do all our work. And I'm like, oh my god, like this is the dream. The dream is to have two people that will chase that 10,000, right? So yeah, I wanted you to touch on those three things: books you recommend to read, why mentoring is very important to you, and like even Deborah Holmes said the last time that even her going into real estate was her husband pushing her and saying, you know what, you have this in you, go for it, right? So the importance of working together as a team when it comes to families.
Okay. So for personal development, I'm very, 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 very big on personal development. As in, very, very big on adding value to yourself, because, like I said earlier, two people can be looking at the same thing. I've been in a situation where I'm looking at something, and someone else is looking and like, this is nonsense, and all I'm saying was money, 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 money. You know, as in, because my mind was trained to see opportunities where others are, and it came from books. Wasn't I think from FUTA. I had hundreds of thousands worth of books. As in, I used to, I remember me and my friend, we don't borrow, we have a profit policy. We don't borrow each other book, but we change books. So I'm like, I remember the first time I bought a book, 5,000 naira. I was like, man, I was feeling towards were like, man, 5,000 naira as a student. So it's and it's not about just reading, as in just reading the book. There's some people like, oh, you're spending money on a book, but it's about someone's 50 years experience, 10 years experience, 20 years experience, all written in a book. Principles are universal. Methods of application might be different. I'll say that again. Principles are universal. Methods of application are different. Meaning, when you read the book, you're trying to get what did he do? What are the principles he applied? Which is applicable in almost all across board, whether you're in real estate, whether you're in or you're a nurse, or a surgeon, or anything. I read books about how to in, influence, and I think how to influence, and it's about people, about people. And one thing I learned, the two most important things in life, one of the two most important things in life, which is how to deal with money and how to deal with people, we're not taught in school. As in, everywhere you have to meet with someone that takes your order, someone that opens the door, the secretary. It's always people, and the next thing is money. We are all going to work for money. So I started like, and people that are successful or that are going to be successful, you have to learn how to do with people. Managers, you're managing people. You have to learn how to. So reading for me is a big deal. And you literally look at everybody. Even Bill Gates is a rich guy. Obama is a rich guy. You say, oh, this is my reading list. This is my reading list. And you'll be wondering, why are these people still reading? Because reading is literally you adding value to yourself. So I will still come back. Let me just also touch about marriage and working together with your wife or husband. That is very, 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 very important, because in the scheme of things, and I'll say this, I literally grew up in a family where I was raised by my stepmom, so I really did not see marriage as something. It got to a point I said I was not going to get married, But when I met with God and everything, so I saw the wrong picture of what marriage should be like. So I said, how do I get the right picture? And it was intentional, just like faith is intentional. I started reading books. I started reading, looking for answers. Read the Bible, read Understanding the Power and Purpose of Men, Understanding the Power and Purpose of Women, both by Miles Moore. I read A Kiss Dating Goodbye. I read Boy Meets Girl, both are by Joshua Harris. I read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. As in, I read so many books, as in like the ones that comes to mind. I started reading about marriage. I read the Bible. I listened to Fela Durotoye a lot. I listened to about marriage. I listened to Miles Morrow on a whole lot of and stuff. And even from the Bible says one shall chase 1,000 and two shall chase 10,000. Then also Bible says a man, as in when he finds a wife, finds a good thing, and he obtains favor. That favor is not the general favor. That favor is a man that finds a wife. So sometimes I call her, say, God, the favor that comes with this woman, I activate it, and stuff like that. And there's nothing more powerful than unity in the home. Unity in the home. If you study a lot of successful and wealthy people, you see that their spouse played a very important role in their life. Very, very important role. Eventually, some of them divorced or whatever. Their spouse played a very important role in their as in their rise. So a whole lot of things are. I'm just right now. I'm 5 years in America. Would you believe that? I came 1st of December 2015. And when I tell people I'm just 5 years or 6 years, and wow, what happened? How was that? And one of the secrets is as in me and my wife, we're one. As in real estate, our own goals, I support her to the. In fact, when we're dating, there was one time she was so worried, trying to tell me something like, "What is it?" Said I took it. She said, "Oh, I'm still going to go for my PhD," and she was looking like, "What's going to be my reaction?" So I said, "Is there any other one you want to go after that one?" Because I will support you, because me, I've spent almost 20 something years in classroom. I want to make money. So anywhere you want to go. I will even carry you to go and write the exam or anything. And that I've been doing, because I'm secure in myself, and I know the power. I've discovered what the man is for, what the woman is for. So and a whole lot of corruption. My father-in-law was with us for 2 months recently, and he kept saying, "Man, there's so much unity in this home. So much unity in this home. That's why you guys can accomplish so much." I'm not saying that we don't have issues or we don't fight or whatever. No, but when there's unity, there's progress. When there's unity and unity around a vision, then there's no division. Die too. So when there's division You're running your own, this one is running your own, and then you guys can come to a whole lot of conclusion. So back to real estate and back to self-development, we develop ourselves together. I help out together. I of course I'm called for real estate, but I also mentor. As in, not mentor, I also speak to a whole lot of married people or about to get married and all that, and I tell them, the man, yeah, as the man, if you know your responsibility, you will run away. But as in, like, you will really run away, because like, American as a society, as there's a whole lot of dysfunctional homes. Women are raising kids, so people don't understand the power. They've lost the power of the man. Even the man now don't even know what they want. If the feminist really understands what the power of the man is, they will say, I am not feminist because leadership, nurturing, and a whole lot of things. So it all boils down back to knowledge, which will come from reading. See, I can go and understand because this is something I'm so passionate about. It's not just about business, because if the home is on fire, no matter whatever you've gone to do, I mean, tenants will give you, you're not home again, your spouse will give you. One day you just sell off all your portfolio and go and live somewhere. Like, you want your life so simple, but if there's peace at home, trust me, you can achieve a whole lot of things. And if there's unity with you and your spouse, trust me, when this one is down, naturally, will you believe this? Naturally, I'm a lazy person. Naturally, I'm a lazy person. Nobody believes that. People have told me that, oh, you don't have drive. I'm always looking at them like, this guy doesn't have drive. If it's quiet, he's strategizing. By the time he's going to move, all of you, your mouth will be open. So, that way, but my wife kicks my butt in the sense of like, I'll show you, you want to say laziness, and I was like, that's true. So she's my motivator. And one other thing your wife does, she keeps you humble. She keeps you humble as a spouse. I was telling some of my mentees, I said, no, if you just won the Grammy Award, I think you walked off the stage from the Grammy, everybody's shouting, the whole world is clapping and everything. All of a sudden, you just get a text. There's no milk at home. Pick up milk when you're coming. I mean, that makes you, as in, like, your spouse will keep you humble. As in, if you're in the cloud, come back to the ground. So it's the truth. So it's two working together has to be in agreement. Two working together, that way you guys are growing together. You gotta especially for, it depends on, like I told my wife when I said I'm going to be highly successful husband, of a highly successful wife. So it's not going to be one person is successful and one person is successful. No, then we're going together. And then we're going together. And my wife, if I read her profile, in fact, you think she's the, I mean, we are literally almost, if not higher, because she's a big shot.
Thank you very much for sharing all you just shared. And I was watching I think it was a video on TikTok some days ago where the woman was asking her husband, who will come first, me, your mother, your daughters, or and something else. And he said you, and she was asking why, and he said, the truth is, when I got married to you, even the Bible told me to leave and cleave. So I've left my family. When it comes to my kids, my daughters came out of you. And when they get married, they will leave both of us and it will be me and you. So why should I jeopardize all this for a relation that I'm supposed to be in unity with you? And every time I see those videos, it just makes me understand that there are certain principles that will work, whether they're Christians or not. Some things, you see some marriages that they don't even know God, but they're actually making things work because they understand certain principles. And the extra we have is the Holy Spirit that's helping us along the way. Yep. So for me, when the man said it, I'm like, that is actually the truth. When I look at it, I've actually left my parents' house. Like, both of them are there together doing their own thing, right? I'm building my own family. It will be very foolish of me to take them as priority over what God has instructed me to do, right? So, like you said, it is important. There's power behind that support. And like you said, there is that favor attached to it. So it would be foolishness for you not to tap into that favor when God literally says, you are and when you marry this woman, there is favor attached to it. So brothers in the house, go and meet your wives right now and hold and say, my favor. So I wanted
it is powerful, honestly, because I can literally go on and on. That's one thing I'm also passionate about. People will say, "Oh, my wife." I said, "No, the man, you determine the temperature in the house." So sometimes, even if my wife is in the room, I'm like, "Is this kind of environment I want to build in my home?" I said, I'm like, "No." And by love your wife as Christ loved the church. How did Christ love the church? Even while we're yet sinners, Christ died for us. So I'm like, I don't want, because I don't want this kind of thing in my house. I don't want offense to linger rather for this long, because there are goals, there are the faith project. In fact, if you read the Bible, it says, if your wife is angry with you, your prayer will not be answered.
I actually just made a post about that 2 days ago, and that's in First Peter, right?
Yeah. So wife is your prayer answer. So of course, it's not like you are selfish. If you both love each other well and all that, and I would say this, I think one of the major problems is that because of papers, a whole lot of people went into marriage not because of marriage, but to have papers, and that, because somebody you see like, oh, women don't marry, and there's a Japanese proverb: if you marry a woman, you become a philosopher. And then and then just be giving philosophy and all that. So, but if you want to be highly successful, if you want to go it's either you go solo or you don't marry. Because once you marry, because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm withdrawn back. Honestly, since I'm married, I mean, from one level of peak to another level of peak to another level of peak. And it's not, of course, I'm smart, I'm intelligent, but it's not just by that. But also there's faith, there's synergy, there are some things I'm like, I don't want to do. I'm like, no, you have to do it. But and everything. Recently we got a car that has been on our vision board. So I just look at this, and she came to my office and I'm like, let's go. I said, go to do what? I said, let's go and buy. I'm like, no, this is my time for it. Eventually, when we got it and everything, God started speaking. God said, if you guys are not, it's an opportunity that opened. If you're not, as in gone in and bought it, it was going to close and take another long circle and everything. So my wife was one that was sensitive more than I was. Usually I'm the one that is sensitive, but synergy, and everybody see me just like, oh, my drive this car. I'm like, yeah, I drive it, but but
wow, that's amazing.
I would miss the opportunity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A praying family that work together, they overthrow kingdoms. They have more, they cover more ground, and it's very important for each and everyone, wherever you are. If you're watching and you're a man or a woman, that bind, two shall chase 10,000. So make sure that your priority is to God. After God is your spouse, and that's the hierarchy God has even given each and every one of us. And like I always tell my sister friend, it's always easy for a woman to submit to a man that loves her. So even though the Bible still states that you should still submit, even if he's not even a Christian or whatnot. But to be very sincere, life is easier because that love that Christ said, and love your wife as Christ loved you and gave himself to her. So if you put your wife in front of you and she puts you in front of her, both of you are in front. There is nobody lingering at the back. And that's one way to look at it. Before you go, I'm really, really super bummed to have you again. Probably next time I'm going to have you, I'll have you with your wife. And probably when we're doing, because twice in a year, we always have a series where we talk to couples. So I will probably send like an invite where I will look for which month and which day works best for both of you. And we'll have this conversation with both of you and how you've been able to make things work. But before we go, because we have just 2 minutes to the end of the show, I wanted you to just touch on one thing, which is which you've touched on. But before you say your final words, my last question will be, what books will you recommend, minus the ones you've already mentioned that you've read before? Which books will you recommend for self-development when it comes to real estate and business?
Mm, wow. I've read so many books that I don't know. But like I always there's the classics that you just have to read. It's one is Rich Dad Poor Dad. And then if I know it's popular, everybody knows it, but if you really read it, not just if you really read it, then you will. It's a gem. Then there's also this book. Most people, I don't know if most people know it, The Richest Man in Babylon. It's written in King James kind of way, but it's very powerful. It's an old book. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon, and but you have to read it with your church mind. Meaning that church mind in sense of it says pay yourself first, but we pay God first. Then there's Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robinson. There's which other one? Then for real estate, there's I wish I was at home. I have a lot of like I would have just stood up and show some of the books. There's for real estate. I'm a real estate agent. For real estate agents, realtors, if you're planning to go into real estate, there's the Millennial agents. Oh yeah, then there's this book I would like to recommend for everybody. Cracking the Millennial Code. Cracking the Millennial Code. I think it's by what's this guy's name? But I can't remember the author, but it's Cracking the Millennial Code. Which other book?
So I've written all these books in the comment section. So please make sure that you check them out. These are books he has recommended. Rich Dad Poor Dad, The Richest Man in Babylon. We have Awaken the Giant in You. We have The Millionaire Agent. Cracking the Millionaire Code. So make sure that you check them out.
There's also Millennial Mind.
The Millionaire Mind.
Yeah, I think it's Thomas J something. Then I will always in fact the first set of books. So when I started reading, I remember, and I'll tell you guys this because I had an encounter this morning. So I was in school. I remember going to meet my pastor, and I said, people said, I'm like, do I talk too much? Because somebody told me I talk too much. So I do I talk too much? She said. And thank God she didn't say yes, you talk too much. She just said, the problem is not that you talk too much. The problem is what is coming out. So focus on what goes in and don't care about what comes out. So I started reading 2 John C. Maxwell books. And she was saying for every 2 John C. Maxwell books you read one N.A. book. So I used to read, because the first step on about self-development is leadership. If you cannot lead yourself, you have no right to lead someone else. So a whole lot of John C. Maxwell books, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, 21 Indispensable Qualities of a Leader. John C. Maxwell, it's all about leadership. He used to be a pastor for 27 years. That's one before God told him that step out from pastoring. So he's a leadership authority. In fact, a whole lot of people go to his school in Florida, So leadership, especially for men, but for everybody generally, because if you cannot lead yourself, to read, if you cannot lead yourself to do what you say you want to do, then you cannot lead, and you have no right to lead others. That's why we have a whole lot of positional leaders that are not leaders, and they're causing trouble. So that's one of the things that's happening in Nigeria. You have positional leadership. No, and they're not leaders, and it's also affecting the home. That's when I talk about the husband. The husband is a leader, is the CEO of that family under Jesus. So anything culture. So like as I said, that sometimes when as in my wife's upset, or even though she might be the problem, but I have to just because I'm like, this is not the culture, this is not the value system I want to do. So these are all leadership terms, these are all CEO terms. So I'm like, because if anybody comes, it's me. You're the leader of the home. So why is your wife like this? The leader, as in leader. Fight. As in two final words. Sorry, I know I'm just so passionate about, especially when it comes to relationship. There are two types of men. There's the hunter and there's the gardener. The hunter, the way you know an hunter is like it goes out, get the biggest game, fastest game. But after some few hours or some few days, it turns to a carcass. So a whole lot of men go for that sister, high flyer and everything, and before you know, they turn out to nothing more than is good for the kitchen, only wearing boo boo. I have nothing against boo boo. Then the next one is the gardener. The gardener nurtures, plants, trims, as in prunes and all that. And the way you know a gardener is not by how well he spends his rake or no. The way you know a gardener is show me your garden and I'll tell you if you're a good gardener. So you can always look up my wife and can give me a feedback if my as in so not to brag, but that's just one of the things I learned from Fela Drote when it comes to marriage, so and it's so powerful. So yeah, leadership.
Thank you very much. And I knew that Jimmy Teo was also with you when he came to the US, and he's also very, very big when it comes to like supporting and going for that purpose why God has created you. It was one of the people that I think I was having a conversation with at the very, very, very beginning where I was confused on what to do. And I just knew that I was not just I think there are times where, like you said, when you have a relationship with God gives you the direction to where he wants you to prosper. And it's important for you to just go with God. You can never go with God and fail, except if you don't want to go with God. That's one. If God gives you everything and you work hand in hand with him, there might be storms on the way, but remember, he's with you. And that's one thing you never forget. Jesus was in the boat, he was sleeping, there was storm, but he was still on that boat. It doesn't mean that the storm of life won't come close to you or your family or your business, but know that God is with you. And when you commit it to his hands, like Yoruba would say, whatever you place on God's hands never breaks, never breaks. So, thank you very much, Mr. Femi, for coming. I believe so many people have been super blessed, and I have learned a lot today from what you said. There are so many books. This is just a background. This is just a green screen background. I should even show like one thing I'm really, really big on is also books. Let me see if I can show my book collection, guys. Yeah. So one of the things that I'm really, really big on is books. I don't have anything that I can spend hundreds of dollars. Let me look for it. Okay, so let me see if I can point the camera to where there's so many books. Okay, so yeah, there's so many, but I think one of the things you touched on, I want to see if I have it. Oh yes. Okay, yeah. So some of the books that Mr. Femi talked about was 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership.
Yep.
This is an amazing book that I love, The Argument-Free Marriage. This is another one that's also really good. Your Money, Your Marriage, and so many much more. So invest in yourself. I just got some other new ones that I'm actually currently reading. This one has really, really helped my life. To be very sincere, don't give the enemy a seat at your table. This book is transformational. Like it, guys, like I can't even miss words for you. It is transformational. So please make sure that you read, invest in yourself. And like Mr. Femi said, if you invest in yourself, no one can take it from you. Nobody can take it from you, except if you just don't want to maximize it. So thank you very much, Mr. Femi.
Can I mention a book for those that are dating?
Yes.
Those that are dating, 101 questions to ask before. I think it's 101 questions to ask before I do or something.
Okay.
I'll get it to you, but those are. As in that book is so powerful. As in my mentor mentioned it, I got it, and it's one of that's my wife. By the time you ask us, she will tell you that I was a questionnaire.
And this other one, Embracing Courage in the Face of Fear by Joyce Meyer. It's called Do It Afraid.
Yeah.
And like Mr. Femi said, there are times where you don't have that bulk. Like he said, his wife just stood and said, you know what, let's go do it. And he was like, we're not ready, but because the Spirit of God also lives in her, she's like, you know what, I feel this is the time for us to do it. And like you said, it's only a farmer that puts seed in the ground that has that and knows that there's time for harvest, right? So when you have seed in the ground, you know that it's time for harvest. If you don't put seed in the ground, there is no harvest. You cannot reap what you did not sow. Right? So thank you very much, Mr. Femi. I am like,
thank you.
I think we should go on and on and on and on and on.
It's always like that. It's always like that.
Every time we have conversations, it's always been a blessing. Thank you very much. Before the end of the year, I will send out an email to you and your wife so that we have them. Please make sure you send in your questions. There is another couple in Australia too that they're also doing amazing work together. We've had them on the show, Dr. and Dr. Mrs. Ekundayo. We're also going to bring them back next year. So please make sure that you come for that series. I probably will try and see, maybe we'll put it in January so that we'll start the year with back to back of those decisions, those family values that you have to start putting in. And like Mabel said, one of the things she's planning to do is also to inculcate those things in our children. And like you said accurately, the momentum of what your kids see, the momentum that drives your family is what your kids will see. And children only learn by seeing. They don't, if you tell your child sit down and you don't sit down, they'll be looking at you standing upright. So it is important for you to also create that environment in your family. But like we said earlier in the show, there are different ways to support the show. Please check the link in our Instagram page or check the link in the description. You can support via PayPal or an Interact e-transfer. There are so many things we want to get before the end of the year. So make sure that you support us, and you can do one thing by subscribing to the channel, but money goes a long way in helping the show to grow. So please make sure you do that. People, thank you very much.
Share. If you've been blessed, send it to somebody. Send it to somebody.
Yes. Please share the video with a lot of people. You never know what's going on in different marriages and different homes. Of someone that wants to start building their portfolio and they have been stuck, right? Do it afraid, and God will continually have your back. So please make sure that you follow at Femi Aguda on Instagram and follow at Block 22 Realty on Instagram. The link is in the description. So just click the link and you won't regret it. Thank you very much, everyone on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, for tuning in today. We are so grateful. Thank you for celebrating 4 years with us. Next year we'll do number 5, and when we're doing our 5th year anniversary, it will be something super special. And we hope and we pray that you continually support us. Like he said, share, like, and the more you like these videos, the more the algorithm will push it out to people so they can also watch. We see you next month on another amazing show or another episode of Life Matters Another Day. God bless you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Femi. I love to your family. Thank you for always coming through every time. God bless you. Bye.
Bye.